If she's ignoring you, it's not an accident. And the worst thing you can do is chase. She used to light up when she saw you. Now it's like you barely exist. And yet, you're still giving more, hoping it'll bring her back. But the truth? That silence is a decision. It's her way of seeing how far you'll lower your standards to keep her around. And every time you reach out, explain, or beg, you confirm she's more valuable than you. Comment, "My energy is priceless." If you've had enough of being treated like an option, this isn't just about relationships. It's about your identity, your peace, your worth. And today, we're not just calling out the problem. We're changing everything. These 5 ways will rebuild your power, make her regret pulling away, and give you back control of your life. Number 1. Stop rewarding cold behavior. It starts with a feeling. You sense the difference before she even says a word. Her energy pulls away slightly. Her responses shorten. The tone becomes colder, more indifferent, like your presence is more of an obligation than something she enjoys. And you begin to overthink, analyzing texts, double-checking emojis, watching who she's online with. And slowly but surely, you shrink, not physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Because every time she responds with less, you respond with more. You overcompensate thinking, if you just love harder, message more, show her you care, she'll come back to how things were. But that version of her doesn't exist anymore, because she no longer fears losing you. And the moment she senses you fear losing her, the dynamic shifts permanently. Not because you're weak, but because you're rewarding the shift instead of responding to it with strength. You're making her silence comfortable by filling it with your noise, giving her all your time while she ration hers, letting her act like your attention is a burden instead of a gift. And what this does is slowly chip away at how you see yourself. You begin to question your worth based on how often she replies. And that's a trap, a brutal loop where her inconsistency becomes the measure of your value. But the truth is, when someone changes their behavior toward you, when they start giving you less, the only response that restores your self-respect is to give them less too, not out of spite, not to manipulate, but because it's the only way to maintain your dignity, to show yourself that you matter even if she forgets. And if you've ever had to wonder why someone who used to crave you now acts like you're invisible, remember this. People don't forget what they had. They just stop respecting it when it comes too easy, when it asks for nothing in return. And what you must do is remove the reward of your attention from those who no longer earn it. Because you don't train someone to value you by rewarding disrespect with patience or emotional starvation with loyalty. You train them to see you as disposable, and even if she doesn't say it out loud, her actions scream that she thinks she can keep you around without showing up for you emotionally. And if you accept that, if you chase her through silence, you're not loving her. You're abandoning yourself, the version of you who knew what peace was, what joy felt like before all this guessing, the version who smiled without checking if she'd respond to your latest message. And that version of you is who you have to protect now, even if it means walking away from the fantasy of who she used to be, because you can't heal in the same environment that broke you. You can't find peace in the same place you started questioning your worth. And if you think staying and being more understanding will earn you love, understand this. People don't respect what they don't fear losing. And the longer you stay in the waiting room of someone's indifference, the more invisible you become. Not just to them, but to yourself. And that's the real cost, not her silence, but your own. The silence you fall into when you stop showing up for yourself. When your day revolves around whether she texts, whether she watches your story, and you've been taught to endure, to stick it out, to prove you're not like the rest. But what's that proof worth if you're proving it to someone who stopped caring 3 energy shifts ago? If you're sitting in emotional bankruptcy hoping for a deposit from someone who's withdrawn everything and left you overdrawn, and if this sounds harsh, It's because love without boundaries isn't love. It's desperation, and desperation repels the very thing you're chasing. And the only way out is to stop rewarding her behavior, to stop responding to being ignored with more affection, to stop giving her the satisfaction of knowing you'll always be there, no matter how she treats you. And instead, step back, not loudly, not with some petty announcement, but silently, because the most powerful move is always calm detachment, not for her. Not so she'll change, but for you, so you can finally breathe again, think again, be again, because you were someone before she walked in, and you'll be someone after she leaves. And when you truly stop rewarding coldness with warmth, something shifts. Not just in her, but in you, because you realize you were never asking for too much. You were just asking the wrong person, and the right person doesn't make you beg for the bare minimum. They don't confuse silence with power. They communicate, they show up, they appreciate what you bring. But that person won't show up until you stop sitting in spaces where love is a transaction you keep paying into but never receive. And so, now your job is simple. Not easy, but simple. Detach, breathe, reflect, and remove your presence from anyone who treats it like an afterthought. Not to punish, not to win her back, but because you owe it to yourself to no longer fund your own disrespect. And the minute you do, when you stop chasing, stop explaining, stop showing up where you're not wanted, you'll see something shift. Not just in her, maybe not in her at all, but in your own reflection, in your own soul. And that's the beginning of everything you've been searching for in someone else. And if you're ready to stop chasing answers in people who don't care enough to stay consistent, then it's time you start pouring into the one place that never lies, your inner foundation. That's why I created the Stoic Relationship Blueprint, a guide built for men who are tired of feeling lost, tired of feeling disposable, and ready to take full ownership of their emotions, their relationships, and their future. This isn't just a book. It's packed with timeless Stoic principles designed to give you clarity, control, and confidence, no matter what she does. And now, it's also available in audiobook format so you can absorb these life-changing truths while taking a walk, on a run, driving, or wherever you need strength the most. You don't have to flip pages to feel the shift. Just press play and let it rewire the way you think, act, and carry yourself. Linked in the comments. Once it's yours forever. No subscription, just pure permanent access to the kind of wisdom that turns pain into power. Don't let another day go by reacting to someone who couldn't care less. Equip yourself with the mindset to never be shaken by someone else's behavior ever again. Number 2, pull back with calm. You feel the shift, not just in her words, but in what she no longer says, in the pauses, the delays, the way she talks to everyone else, but finds a reason to say less to you. And what most people do at this point is panic. They double down, send more messages, try to rekindle the spark by acting sweeter, more available, more agreeable. And what they don't realize is that this very act confirms to her that she has the upper hand, that you fear losing her more than she fears losing you, and that imbalance breeds nothing but contempt over time, because once someone sees they can back away without consequence, they will do it again, and again, and again, until your self-worth is buried beneath their patterns. So instead of reacting, you must do the one thing most never do. Nothing. Not the kind of nothing that hides resentment, but the kind that comes from complete stillness, where your mind stops spinning around her distance and starts focusing on what that distance is teaching you. Because when someone pulls away and you chase, you lose yourself. But when someone pulls away and you observe without reacting, you gain insight. And that insight is everything. It tells you who they are when they think they no longer need to impress you. It shows you if their presence was ever built on genuine connection or just validation seeking. And when you pull back with calm, you're not playing games, you're not being petty, you're simply stepping into your power, because you've realized that not every action deserves a reaction, especially when that action was designed to test your boundaries. And if your default setting is to overgive, over-explain, over-commit, pulling back will feel like punishment, not for them, but for you, because you've conditioned yourself to believe love is earned through effort, not through alignment. And pulling back isn't about withholding, it's about protecting. It's about creating space for clarity to emerge, because when you sit in silence, not with bitterness, but with awareness, you begin to see everything you couldn't see while trying to fix someone else's lack of effort. And in that space, you remember that people don't just treat you how they feel about you. They treat you how you allow them to. And if you've been making it easy to access your energy without reciprocation, you've been teaching them that their inconsistency has no consequence, and that must end, because your peace is not negotiable, your time is not disposable, and your presence is not a placeholder. So you start showing that by not reacting to breadcrumbs, by not rewarding indifference with increased attention, by not trying to decode behavior that is already telling you everything you need to know, because silence is communication, and the way you respond to it shapes how they see you from that point forward. And in pulling back, you create a vacuum. And in that vacuum, one of two things happens. Either they come closer with intention, or they fade completely, and both are wins. Because if they come back with clarity, you've taught them what it means to be valued. And if they disappear, you've just removed someone who was never truly with you. And yes, it hurts. But hurt with clarity is better than comfort in confusion. And pulling back isn't a test for them. It's a revelation for you. It reveals who stays when you stop performing. It shows you who wants you beyond what you offer. And it strengthens your resolve to no longer chase those who treat you like an afterthought. And the calm is essential, because if you pull back with anger, you're still giving them control. But if you pull back with peace, you're taking full ownership of your emotional reality. And that is what true strength looks like. Not loud, not aggressive, but rooted, anchored, firm, unshaken. And from that place, you begin to rebuild the foundation of your life, one boundary at a time. And maybe she notices, maybe she reaches out, maybe she doesn't. But none of that is your concern anymore. Because you're not pulling back to get a reaction. You're pulling back because your energy deserves a return. And if they can't give that, they don't deserve to stay close. And this mindset shifts your entire approach, not just with relationships, but with life. Because now, instead of clinging to what's slipping away, you learn to release what resists you. And in doing so, you become the kind of person who doesn't need to chase love, because they embody it. Not through words, but through standards, through how they walk away when disrespected, how they sit in silence without fear, how they stay calm even when their emotions beg them to react. And that kind of power cannot be faked. It's built through discipline, through choosing solitude over subpar connection, through valuing inner peace over temporary comfort. And once you taste that, you stop settling for less. Not because you hate others, but because you finally love yourself enough to protect your space. And if you've ever pulled back and felt guilty, let that go. Because guilt is the language of those who've been conditioned to overextend, to fix, to explain. And your new language is peace, clarity, alignment, and respect. And you don't need her to understand your silence. You don't need closure or validation or apology. You just need to know that you responded with integrity, that you acted from strength, that you chose you. And that is the ultimate power, not in changing her behavior, but in mastering your own. Number 3, focus on your purpose, not her. You lose yourself the moment you let someone else become the center of your day. Because when your thoughts begin and end with them, when your productivity depends on their mood, When your self-worth rises and falls with how much attention they give you, you've handed over the keys to your peace, your focus, your identity. And what most don't realize until it's too late is that obsession over another person never leads to closeness. It leads to blindness. You stop seeing reality for what it is and start seeing it for what you hope it could be. And in that space you make excuses, you overlook patterns, you justify cold behavior, and you place your progress on pause, thinking that if you just give them enough time, enough space, enough love, they'll come back around. But they don't. And even if they do, it's not the way you imagined, because anything gained through neglecting yourself will never bring peace, and this is where you must make the shift, the one most never make. The moment you decide that your purpose, your mission, your time, and your energy are no longer available for rent, especially not to people who treat them like background noise. And when you turn your focus inward, everything changes. Not instantly, but radically, because you start waking up with a sense of control again, not because she called or didn't, but because you've chosen to call yourself out of the mental cage you've been living in. And this is how freedom begins. Not with a clean break, but with the decision to prioritize what builds you, not what breaks you. Because the truth is, a distracted man is a destroyed man, and too many are walking through life half present, half committed, half alive, because their attention is tied to a person who doesn't even care if they're breathing. And the irony is that while you're losing sleep thinking about what you did wrong, she's moving through her day, untouched, unbothered, maybe even entertained by the idea of your devotion. And this isn't bitterness, it's clarity. Because clarity doesn't always come from words. Sometimes it comes from silence, from distance, from watching someone remove themselves while you're still trying to write them into your future. And that's your wake-up call. Not to chase, not to beg, not to win her back, but to get back to what you were building before she distracted you. Because every dream you shelved for her, every gym session you skipped, every plan you delayed hoping she'd notice, none of it brought her closer, and all of it took you further from yourself. And now, the only way back is through discipline, the kind of discipline that rewires your days, your thoughts, your rituals. Because when you place your focus on your purpose, you no longer have time to question why she stopped texting. You're too busy improving, creating, building a life that no longer needs her validation to feel complete. And this kind of shift is uncomfortable because your mind is conditioned to crave her attention as proof that you matter. But that's a lie you've believed for too long. And once you stop believing it, you become dangerous. Not in a violent way, but in a focused way. The kind of danger that comes with knowing exactly who you are and refusing to waste that identity on someone who made you question it. And the reason most men stay stuck is because they're waiting for closure. But purpose doesn't need closure. It only needs commitment. So instead of asking why she left, ask why you stayed so long in a place that made you doubt yourself, and start rebuilding the routines that sharpen you. Wake up early even when you're tired. Hit the gym even when your mind says you're broken. Pick up the books you once read when you were clear-headed. Write down your goals with brutal honesty, and hold yourself accountable like your life depends on it. Because it does. And the more you do this, the less power her silence has over you, because silence doesn't distract someone who is busy creating. And as your focus sharpens, so does your aura. And people will notice not just her, but everyone, because there's a confidence that can't be faked. One that only comes from knowing you are living in alignment with your values, not someone else's attention span. And maybe she'll come back around, maybe she won't. But either way, you've already won because you're no longer waiting for someone else to validate your existence. You've taken full responsibility for it. And now, when someone enters your life, they're not entering a space of desperation. They're entering a space of excellence, one that you've built brick by brick while everyone else was waiting for someone else to change. And this is what separates those who move on from those who stay trapped. because purpose is the cure for emotional chaos. It's the compass that keeps you steady when everything else is uncertain. And if you're serious about reclaiming your life, you must stop waking up thinking about her and start waking up thinking about what you're building, who you're becoming, and what legacy you're leaving behind. Because at the end of the day, no one is coming to save you, especially not the person who's ignoring you. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you start saving yourself. Number 4. Be unfazed. The moment you stop reacting to her behavior is the moment she starts questioning it, not because you're playing games, but because you finally realized that your peace matters more than her inconsistency. And if you've ever sat there staring at your phone, hoping for a reply that never comes, overthinking every past conversation, trying to figure out what went wrong, understand this. You're not hurting because she's ignoring you. You're hurting because you've made her response a requirement for your self-worth. And when you make someone else responsible for how you feel, you give them the power to control your emotions, your actions, your entire mindset. But that power was never meant to be outsourced. And being unfazed doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop depending. It means you let go of the need to control how others see you, how they respond, how they show up or don't, and you shift the focus back where it belongs, which is on how you carry yourself, regardless of how others treat you. Because anyone can be composed when everything goes their way, but very few can stay centered when they feel disrespected, abandoned, or unseen. And this is where your real strength is tested, not when life is easy, but when silence screams at you to react, when rejection pokes your ego and dares you to lose composure. And being unfazed is about responding with principle instead of reacting with impulse. It's about recognizing that not every slight deserves a comeback, not every withdrawal needs to be chased, and not every disrespect warrants your explanation. Because sometimes the most powerful move isn't to show them how you feel. It's to feel it in private and still carry yourself with grace. And what most people don't understand is that reacting is cheap. Anyone can get emotional. Anyone can rant or beg or explain endlessly. But restraint, that's rare. And it's in that restraint that your value is revealed, not to them, but to yourself. Because every time you choose not to break character for someone who clearly doesn't respect your presence, you reinforce your own standard. And this isn't about being cold. It's about being clear. It's about realizing that someone pulling away doesn't mean you failed. It means they've shown you their capacity. And once you see that, you can decide whether you're willing to lower your energy to match theirs, or if you'll simply detach and keep moving without losing your dignity in the process. And if you've ever been ghosted, breadcrumbed, or emotionally manipulated, the temptation is to call them out, to get closure, to defend your worth. But the truth is, real closure comes when you stop needing their apology to move on, when you decide that your peace is non-negotiable, even if they never acknowledge the harm they caused. And this level of control isn't built overnight. It's trained. It's earned through self-discipline, through daily choices to not let their behavior dictate your reactions, to not let your mood shift based on their validation, to not let your identity fluctuate with their attention, and instead, you start focusing on what you can control, your thoughts, your energy, your boundaries. And the moment you do that, everything changes, because now you're not waiting, not checking, not guessing, you're living. And that kind of stillness is unsettling to people who are used to controlling you with inconsistency, because when their silence no longer affects your energy, they lose access to what made them feel powerful, and you gain access to a version of yourself who's no longer desperate for someone else to choose them, because you've already chosen yourself, and that version of you starts walking taller, thinking clearer, acting wiser, not out of ego, but out of alignment. Because when your values are clear, your decisions become easy, and when someone treats you like an option, you don't need to argue. You just exit, not out of bitterness, but because you don't negotiate your self-respect. And if she texts, she texts. If she doesn't, she doesn't. But either way, you're good, because your day isn't built around her availability. It's built around your mission, your goals, your discipline. And the more you do this, the more attractive you become. Not just to others, but to yourself. Because now you're no longer seeking validation. You're walking in self-certainty. And people can feel that even if they can't explain it. And yes, she might notice. She might come back. She might test you again. But this time you're not emotionally available for inconsistency. This time you've seen behind the curtain. And no amount of charm can undo the truth of how someone made you feel when they thought they had options. And now you do too. The option to walk, to pause, to pivot, to grow, to evolve without needing her to validate the process. And being unfazed isn't just about silence. It's about detachment from outcomes. It's about knowing you'll be okay even if she never says another word, even if she moves on, even if you never get closure, because the closure was never hers to give. It was always yours to take. And now you're taking it, not with bitterness, but with clarity. And in that clarity, you reclaim your power. And that power becomes the foundation of everything you build from this moment forward. Number 5. Walk away if nothing changes. You reach a point where staying is more damaging than leaving. A point where every second you wait for her to notice your worth is a second you're silently teaching yourself to settle for less. And this isn't about being cold. It's about recognizing that love without respect is manipulation dressed in comfort. And if her patterns show you that she's indifferent, distracted, or completely detached, then your choice isn't between fighting harder or giving up. It's between self-preservation and self-destruction. Because walking away isn't weakness. It's proof that you finally believe your peace is more important than her potential. And for too long, you've convinced yourself that if you're just patient, if you give her space, if you don't push too hard, she'll eventually circle back with clarity. But she doesn't. And even when she does, she comes back to the version of you that allows disrespect. The one who's still sitting there hoping silence turns into commitment. But commitment doesn't come from absence. It comes from presence, consistency, honesty. And she's not giving you any of that, and you know it. Deep down, you've known it for a while, but you've been waiting for the pain to outweigh the hope before you take action. And by the time that happens, you've already wasted months of your life on a fantasy, replaying memories of who she used to be while ignoring the reality of who she is now. And that gap, that space between who she was and who she is where most people live, stuck in denial, bargaining with their own potential, just to keep someone around who stopped valuing them long ago. And that's not love. It's fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of starting over. Fear of admitting you bet on the wrong person. And until you face that fear, it controls you. It owns you. It manipulates every choice you make. And it convinces you to tolerate things you swore you never would. And you start rationalizing disrespect, saying things like, she's just going through something, or maybe it's my fault. But none of that changes the fact that her effort is gone, her interest is gone, and you're still holding on because you don't want to feel like you wasted your time. But here's the truth. You don't get that time back by staying longer. You get it back by learning the lesson and moving forward. And if nothing changes, if her behavior remains cold, distant, inconsistent, if you're the only one reaching out, initiating, apologizing, explaining, while she lives her life like you don't exist, then the longer you stay, the more you betray yourself, and betrayal from others hurts. But betrayal of self is what truly breaks you, because when you ignore your own boundaries just to keep someone around, you teach yourself that your standards are negotiable, and once you lose respect for your own standards, everything else crumbles. Your focus, your discipline, your drive, your joy, and you start building your life around the hope that one day she'll look at you and see what you've always seen in her. But that day never comes, And even if it does, it'll be too late, because by then, you'll be a shell of who you once were, emptied out by the emotional labor of loving someone who only loved your availability, not your soul. And the worst part is, you'll know it. You'll know you stayed too long, gave too much, asked too little, and you'll carry that bitterness with you into every relationship after, unless you decide right now, in this moment, that your healing matters more than her habits, that your time is too expensive to be spent on confusion, and that your worth is not up for negotiation just because someone you care about won't match your effort. And when you walk away, you don't need to announce it. You don't need to explain it. You don't even need to hope she understands it. You just need to live it, because walking away is a decision, not a performance, and the people who get it, and the ones who don't, never mattered in the first place. And yes, it hurts. It always does. But hurt is temporary. Self-abandonment is forever. So you choose the pain that ends now, not the pain that drags on for months, while you slowly forget who you were before she made you feel replaceable. And if you're waiting for a sign, this is it. Not because I said it, but because you've already said it to yourself 100 times in your head. Every time you reread the same dry text. Every time you waited for her to call back. Every time you downplayed your needs just to avoid tension. And you're not crazy. You're not too much. You're not asking for perfection. You're asking to be valued. And if that's not happening, then staying is not loyalty. It's self-betrayal. And walking away is not giving up. It's choosing you. And when you finally choose you, everything starts to shift. Not because the world changes, but because you do. Because you start seeing red flags as stop signs, not challenges. You start recognizing that energy doesn't lie, and that you don't need someone's permission to take your power back, and you begin to carry yourself differently. Not with bitterness, but with certainty. Not with ego, but with boundaries. Not with hate, but with clarity. And you become the kind of person who doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't lose themselves in the hope that someone else will finally see them, because you see yourself now, and that's all you ever needed. And the second you walk away from what isn't feeding you, you make space for everything that will. You've been told to stay quiet, to stay patient, to be the nice guy who waits in silence while his value gets stepped on. But where has that gotten you? This world isn't designed to teach you how to lead yourself through emotional chaos. It profits from your confusion, your pain, your obedience. The Stoic relationship blueprint is your rebellion, packed with timeless Stoic truths that no one ever handed you growing up, truths that will flip the way you think, respond, and carry yourself in any relationship. And now it's available as an audiobook, so you can build yourself up while walking, training, or simply reclaiming your focus. Because this isn't just knowledge, it's your new weapon, and once you have it, it's yours forever. If you're done playing the fool in someone else's game, comment "I choose clarity," like this video, and subscribe to help more men escape the trap and save themselves years of regret. The link is in the comments.